Hi, Bob.
And we are live. Episode 12 of the Dumb Marketer Show.
Here we go. Back at it.
Here we go. And let's just jump right in. I mean, we all need an update from kind of your big content project, your huge content project. We need to get an update on how that's going.
My 217 blog posts that have been slated and ready to be drafted. So I have, since completing the initial rough drafts via Gumloop and um, ChatGPT AI publication, or not publication, writing of them. Um, Jumped right into the first blog post, getting that published. On average, it's taking me about 6 hours per. I got three done. Published the third this morning. So I'm looking to try to get three done a week. So I got done 3 in 6 days, but three published in 6 days. But it took me 9 days to actually do all the work to get those published. That's not going to work for me. So, because we just did the math and it's going to be about 1 3/4 years, 7 quarters, if you will. And that's just too much.
Yeah.
I was willing to stretch it out a year and a half. I really don't want that much overlap when I have to start redoing the content that I've already published 12 months in. So, that said, I either have to whittle down what I'm doing to get these blog posts published, so refine my process and figure out what I'm willing to forego, if anything, and streamline and try to get it down to 4 hours tops per blog post. And the extent of what I'm doing is, first off, they're like 2,500 words a piece. So I'm reading, rewriting, optimizing, and adding a personal touch to all of it, my own voice, but also perspectives. So, and as anybody knows who's producing content, it's an important element to personalize it, make it your own, so it isn't mundane like everybody else's. Um, I'm actually doing AI images. By the way, my prompts for AI images are really not very good. I have to really hone in on that skill set.
Me too.
I know what I want to tell it, but what I'm getting is not good. So
Okay, thank God I'm not alone on that one because I generated an AI image for a blog post I just put up earlier in the week, and I was struggling big time.
yeah, I think there is a method to the madness on how to prompt those things, and I don't know what that is. I
Yeah.
thought I thought using the same kind of techniques that I'm using for just the standard ChatGPT/Claude prompt would suffice, but I don't think it works. Either that or the image generators just aren't as sophisticated as the text generators. I don't know yet. But
I don't know, but everything I get back, I ask for like realistic photo, like I want like an image of like what looks like a real person. But
I'm not even trying to do that. I'm just doing simple graphics. Like,
everything I get back is cartoony.
yeah.
Like, and I even tell it not to like make it look cartoony. And I don't know. I agree with you. I'm probably prompting it wrong, or I'm doing something wrong. But I swear, back in the good old days, 2 years ago, when Dolly first came out, it seemed like everything was trying to look like a real person.
Yeah.
But now it feels like it's trying to like make everything cartoony looking.
Hmm.
So yeah, I did end up using it because I was inspired by our discussion about the Marcus Sheridan stuff.
Hmm.
And so I posted this blog post earlier in the week. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting your update here.
No, no, this is good.
Um, and I put together a checklist of I wanted to start seeing if I could add in some of that stuff that Sheridan recommended, right?
Hmm.
And of course, the first thing on the list was a real image, a real photo, and I'm like, oh crap. So here I am digging through like my Google Photos, trying to find anything that would even draw the faintest correlation to membership metrics, which is what my post is on. So think about how hard that is.
Sure.
So I'm like trying to find anything at all. And I had nothing. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just generate an AI image because that's original.
Right.
Every image is unique that AI
Yep.
generates. So I thought, oh, I'll do that. That'll be super easy. I'll do that for all these posts.
Yeah.
And after about 30 minutes, I was about ready to rip my hair out. I don't have much. So, anyways, okay.
My experience was very similar. I was able to get a few, but I'm not trying to do people. I'm trying to do infographic kind of visuals,
Got
right?
it.
Processes, flows, diagrams, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, it struggles to generate the appropriate text at times, right? It's spelling words funky. It's not lining things up. It's doing weird things.
Yep.
So I stopped doing that. I got one good one out of the 3 that I tried, and it was multiple times, probably a couple of hours worth of time that I tried to do all this stuff because I was adamant about trying to figure it out. And I just came to the conclusion, look, I need to do some research on how to do this better because I'm clearly not educated enough to do this well. So that said, what I did find to work for me, and maybe people have already done this, I prompted ChatGPT to at least look at the whole rough draft of the blog content that I had. And I said, recommend visuals, images for this blog post and tell me exactly what it is and where to put it and why it makes sense. It was really good at that. And what that did basically was give me a way to prompt for an image, and then it could give me something to work with that I could at least build quickly in Canva. You know what I mean? So it gave me a rough draft, if you will. Mm-hmm. So even though I couldn't get it fine-tuned enough to spit out what I needed, at least it gave me something visually to work with mentally that I could jump into Canva, build that quick, and I didn't have to try to think of the concept. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that saved me time. I wouldn't say as much as it would by just generating me a real image, right? Mm-hmm. But at least it saved me a little time. So that was at least helpful. So I learned that. I hadn't been doing that up until this point. So I'll continue to do that until I figure out this other stuff. So bottom line is, current process is taking me too much time. I got to whittle it down. Mm-hmm. I am happy with that. I've got 3 blog posts on my website. That's more blog content that I produced in the last probably 12 months, honestly. Mm-hmm. So then I did it in a week. So I'm very, very happy about that. If I can at least continue to do that, I'll be in a good place. So right now, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to keep expectations as it is and just try to whittle down the hours spent on a per post basis.
Wow. But I mean, yeah, three up in 9 days. That is more than you've done probably in the last year and a half, maybe even.
Definitely, I think for sure within a year. Yeah, probably a year and a half could be. Yeah, it's been a long time where I've actually spent this amount of time dedicated to building content for my site.
Yep.
Pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And I'm happy with the content. Like, I didn't think I would be happy with the content. And this is part of the problem probably is because I'm, you know me. When I produce blog content, I want it to look good, sound good, read good. I want it to perform good, right? So I'm trying to do my due diligence. I'm trying to cut corners where I can. Oh, I'll tell you one thing that I did that I said I gotta stop. So the younger generations are telling me you can see AI content, people using AI content, by the titles that they use. They're like caps for the words, right? And I'm in my head, I was always thinking, that's how you're supposed to write a title. So it's not like this is an AI thing. No, this is like what we've been taught since school was invented.
Yeah, right.
You capitalize the primary words of a title. That's just how it's done. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking, you know what? Yeah, I should probably not do that because, the younger generations are probably going to appreciate I'm doing more of what they want to do. And I started doing it, and it's an absolute pain in the ass. And it took way too much time. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with what I know. It's what I was taught. I'm assuming it's still taught in English if you're still taking an English course,
Yeah, I hope so.
right? So I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that. So that at least saved me a little time because that first post I did that and I'm just like, I can't.
That's funny.
So I'm finding things where I can make some improvements, and I'm finding things that I can just let go of.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
So,
Cool.
and with any process that you put into play that's new or that you're trying different things, you have to continue to whittle at it until you find something that works for you. So that's kind of what I'm going through right now. Even though I've been producing blog content for years, I'm still learning how to do it effectively. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we also, well, you read a lot of content strategy stuff, content development stuff on the web, and things change all the time. And
It's every day now. It's weird.
yeah, so I mean, look, even last week when we talked about that Marcus Sheridan post, like
Right.
that was just another example of like, oh yeah, that's there's some things there that honestly I don't think about all the time when I'm
Right.
creating content. So yeah, I don't think that'll ever end. It's like
Mhm.
everything else on the web; it changes all the time.
I'm happy with what I'm doing with this content though, because and you know me, I always produce one image for the blog post at the top. I didn't get into the other stuff because it was more about providing the information versus visual appeal, right? Well, users want visual appeal. They've made that very clear.
Yep.
I know it. I've known it forever. I, as a user, like the visual appeal, right? So
Mhm.
now I'm doing it, and this image thing that we were talking about, and AI could make it a lot easier, is very appealing to me, and I want to figure it out.
Mhm.
But even in the times that I was able to do for these posts specifically, I'm happy with what I got. Like I'm producing like legitimate graphics that could ideally be backlinked to, could be picked up and shared. I mean, it's like content that I didn't prioritize before that I think is going to become a bigger part of my content plan. So I'm
Yeah,
excited about that.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a little offshoot benefit.
right. And I'm building to some degree social assets that I can use later that I haven't prioritized yet.
Absolutely. Oh
So,
yeah, yeah, big time.
yep. So
Cool.
I am getting wins, even though it doesn't feel like it right now,
Yeah, yep.
because it's longer than the timeline I wanted to apply. But hopefully, it'll save some on the back end.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, as we mentioned earlier, like you'll get a little bit faster just by the nature of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I told you, like it took me like a half an hour trying to generate an image in AI, but once I figure out the right prompt and stuff, then that'll only take 2 minutes
Right.
eventually. So it'll so well, that's good. You're off and running. Here we
Off and
go.
running. That's right.
I
It feels good.
gotta be honest with you. I didn't doubt your skills with Gumloop and that whole process that you ran, but when you were talking about how you were, using that tool and Claude and all this, and you're going to create all these drafts and stuff, and then you were going to start publishing. In my brain, I was like, "Oh man, he could still be, several weeks, if not maybe a couple of months away from actually publishing content." But you're right into it now.
Yeah.
You're right into it.
Yeah. What, 2 weeks later, roughly?
Yeah,
Two and
yeah.
a half weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, had you not had that process that you built, that automated process that you had built, I mean,
It'd be onesie twosies. I mean, the
yeah,
time that I'm spending per post would probably be at least another hour, if not two.
yeah, yeah. I remember this is way back in the day, but I remember like when me and you were kind of just starting our careers and stuff, and computer software really started to become a thing. I remember like these tools would come out and they would talk about how much time they would save you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this tool is going to save you a half an hour every day, which means that over the course of a year, you're going to save,
Mm-hmm.
80 hours of work or like you basically saved hundreds of hours,
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of hours
Mm-hmm.
by creating one gum loop process
Yep.
and Claude and all the
Yep.
other tools you stitch together. You
Yep.
potentially saved months and months of time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
But here's where we've been so worried about. Well, I know I have, and I know you have too. When AI first started coming out, and everybody was using it for blog writing,
Hmm.
and we're like, okay, now the amount of content that is being published is now 1,000x what it was before.
Yep.
Every single day, million x, whatever, because people were creating these bots and they were just writing posts all day long, blah blah blah. Now we knew it was going to get to this. It's a quality game now.
Hmm.
It's a quality game, and so that shit's not going to work. Like,
Nope.
and I would really love to see some case studies on companies. Actually, you know what? We have real case studies. Some Sports Illustrated.
Yep.
About a year ago, it came out that Sports Illustrated had done a ton of AI content,
Mhm.
and then they folded.
Yep.
They folded. I think they folded for two reasons. One, it probably wasn't paying off, and two, they got caught. So, you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
so the
They had,
humans us were like, you know what? I think maybe we still want some of our sports commentary actually come from humans.
yeah, SI took too many shortcuts
Yeah.
over
Yep.
a long period of time. It wasn't just the AI. They'd been
Yeah.
doing that for a while.
Yeah. So it's kind of just interesting that, you know, we're not entirely owned by the AI bots yet. So
Not yet.
not yet. Well, that's a great update. You're moving right along. By the
Thanks,
time we
man.
talk next time, you'll have 3 or 4 more up. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well,
We'll see how the fine tuning goes.
awesome. Good
Yep.
deal. Great update.
Thank you. Yeah. So now we gotta get into you, right? So we're gonna talk about little story. Bob decides to text me and tells me about what he's been working on. Introduces me to several price points in an image of a screenshot that he sent me. So I see this image, and the first thing that popped into my head was, damn, this man has been busy because he now has 3 legitimate products that he's going to go to market with. And I really need to hear more about this because up until now, probably videos 7 through 12, I've been telling you about all this gum loop content production and all these other things. And Bob has been taking kind of a side cart on the motorcycle trip with me. And now he's going to take on the driver role and he's going to tell us about all these good things that he's been putting into play because of one day where we had a conversation, he stepped on the gas. So, Stanky, can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing over the past 5 weeks?
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, I've just been building stuff. Well, I mean, it kind of was a few weeks ago when me and you were talking, and we were, um, we've had this discussion numerous times about how we're trying to build something and we're doing it on the side, and we both have jobs and families and life and everything, and so we kind of have these what we've called them side hustles for a long time or side gigs or whatever. And we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. Well, no, it's a couple of months ago now, about how no, these are legit businesses. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we both have incorporated entities. So these are real things, and they're things that we're trying to build and grow. And granted, we're doing it slowly.
Yep.
Um, but I've just primarily been focusing on just publishing content, which is great because it's something I can do at night. I do late at night. I write blog posts and I've published. I'm almost to 400 now. I'm at like 375 blog posts, something like that I've put up since 2020, and it's been generating revenue, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago. Like Last month was a great month. I think I made over $500 last month in just content, whether it be AdSense or sponsored posts or whatever. And so that's great. That's all running fine. But that's not really what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really the end goal of how I want to sunset my career at some point.
Yep.
And I've said publicly and openly, even to people I work with, like, I want to be a business coach someday. And that's how I hope to end my career. That's how I hope to spend the last 10 or 15 years doing that. Right. And I think I just, 5-6 weeks ago was like, start building the damn thing. Like, start putting these pieces together besides just creating written blog posts and stuff, which is fine and great. So I mentioned the Coach Builder book. I can't remember if we talked about that on a recording. I think we did. The Coach Builder. Yep, we did. And that was kind of
you mentioned it. We talked about the brand.
Yeah, the story brand.
Brand. That we went into that in detail. You mentioned the coaching book.
So Donald Miller is the author of several books, but Story Brand. But then also he has this Coach Builder book, and I read that book probably 3-4 weeks ago now. So I was right. That would be a tip to anybody who was listening to me at the time, that I was starting to dig into some things around building a coaching business.
Yeah, that was the key that unlocked all of this, I think, for you.
So I'm at an interesting bridge here because I need, and to some degree still want, my regular full-time job. I still have a lot to learn. I still have a lot to do. I still get a lot of great benefits in terms of steady income, benefits, all that kind of stuff, right? The great things that come with having a 9-to-5. You get to work with people, you get to learn new things and have access to trainings and, all the great benefits that come with having a job. So I'm not ready to make this leap yet. I'm not ready to be this, full-time coach. So what I've really been focusing on is, what can I build where I can start bridging a gap and get started by having something that is coaching based, but is delivered in a brand new way that's different from most traditional business coaches. So if you have a small business right now and you go hire a business coach, you meet with them in person, you have these, calls and all that kind of stuff, and they're very hands-on or whatever. And that's great. I think that's got a place. And eventually one day that, I would hope, would be a percentage of what I'm doing. But I also believe that companies that are hiring business coaches today are going to be much different than the companies that are hiring business coaches 10 years from now. We've got a new generation of business owners coming up. We've got a new generation of business leaders coming up. And I feel, and maybe I'm delusional here, but I feel like I have a unique, me and you, I believe, are part of a unique generation, this Gen X generation.
Yeah,
because we're tucked right in between the baby boomers who taught us everything that we know, literally. And they were workhorses and they were hard on us, still are. And then we've got the generations right after us, which are the millennials and the Gen Zers. And we have hired them. We have trained them. But we've also recognized that we couldn't treat them kind of like how the baby boomers treated us. And there's some interesting gaps there, and we have filled those gaps for the most part. And so I feel like I can relate to the baby boomers because I've had to work for them for ages now. For 25 years, I've had to work for them. But I've also had to work very closely with this other generation that's coming behind us. And there's going to be a shift. It's already happening. But there's going to be this great shift of these younger generations going to take over these companies. They're going to be the leaders,
Mhm.
and a lot of them are already in that. I mean, you look at some of the newer companies over the last 10 or 15 years have all been started by younger people, right?
Yep.
Your employees. So they consume information much differently than
Yep.
the generation ahead of us, the boomers. And I see an opportunity. I see a blue
I
ocean.
would argue that they consume and comprehend it differently.
Very, very much so. Yep. And hey, this is not a knock towards some of the coaches that I see and actually consider not mentors, but that I look up to
Mhm.
are older. They're older. And they came up in literally the 80s. Like that's when they were our age. So they're
Right.
old. And but what I'm saying is that what I've seen, what I've researched is that they are being hired, but they're being hired by boomers. They're being hired by their own
Yep.
generation. And so I see an opportunity. I see a blue ocean opportunity to develop a framework that delivers leadership coaching, emerging leadership coaching, and business strategy coaching in a new way. Um, and think of it more as in kind of an on-demand way. Do it at when you need it. I'm going to give you the tools, and hey, look, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be here when you need me.
Mhm.
But I think I actually mentioned it in. Well, can I just read something really quick? I don't want to
Yeah.
bore anybody, but hold on a second. Let me just pull it up real quick because I got it right here. This is what I wrote. This is on my my paywall page where I have the membership subscriptions, which we can get to in a minute. But here's what I wrote. I wrote traditional business coaching largely consists of old school practices, long sessions of theoretical business advice delivered by an old, out of date business consultant, often at the mercy of their schedule. My approach is a new immersive hybrid method that delivers coaching solutions through on demand resources, step by step guides, and a library of easy to use tools and templates, all backed with the assurance of my personal support whenever you need it. My hybrid coaching method provides more value than traditional coaching services at a much lower cost. Below are my 3 membership tiers, one of which I'm confident will be the right fit for you. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Okay, so essentially where I was going with that was, and I may switch up some of that copy because some of it maybe is a little too pointed. But at the end of the day, it's basically like, hey, look, yeah, you can go hire a business consultant. You can pay them $50,000 a year, and you're going to get 6 or 7 sessions out of them, and they're going to talk to you about SWOT analysis and business model canvases, and that's it. And then you're done. Like, I see an opportunity to change up how that content is delivered and the way it's delivered and through a different voice. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm building basically some on-demand membership tiers to get started. So where do I go from here?
So, what kind of on-demand membership tiers? Can you break them down?
Yeah, yep. So I have 3 tiers. Right now I have 3 tiers. And this was a lot of time. This was a lot of time because, well, first of all, so I mean, actually, I have just about every book you can imagine on memberships, and I've read them all.
Oh my gosh!
And actually, the one book that's not down here, it's upstairs on my end table. It's called the Confessions of a Pricing Man. I've read all these books, and the one thing, the commonality is that the best practice in having like a membership offering is to have 3 tiers of membership.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the ideal. Actually, one of the authors, I can't remember which book it's in, literally says it's not overwhelming to a consumer to look at 3, but it offers a good comparison model.
Yep.
So I focused on 3 tiers, and the pricing took me forever, and it still might not be final. The value prop of each tier was a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
That's still not done, and it's still refining. I think I told you last night I still got some work to do with there. But essentially, the 3 tiers are a plus, pro, and premium tier. The plus is the bottom tier, and it's largely a content play with no interaction with me. Okay. The other thing I'm making different is I'm actually making these focused on leadership teams. So a membership, a purchase of a membership actually gets you 5 subscriptions. So this is based off of kind of EOS's idea of a leadership team. A visionary, an integrator, a finance leader, a sales and marketing leader, and an ops leader. 5. So if you get this membership, you can put 5 members of your leadership team to receive all of this content. They'll each have a login, and they'll get all this content that I'm providing for them. It's largely exclusive content through a member newsletter, a bi-weekly member newsletter, access to a on-demand resource library that's going to have videos in it, courses in it, templates, downloads, all that kind of stuff.
Is that a gated content?
Yep. So gated. Yep. All gated content. A monthly webinar, and then a discount on other coaching programs that I want to offer. So I have a list, and I'm not even shitting you, of about 20 other coaching programs I want to offer eventually at some point. So I'm offering a discount if you have this. So that tier right now.
Is that like an add-on or upscale?
Yeah. So
okay.
Separate from the membership. So these other programs, and a couple of them I can talk about because I've already started to flesh them out. But yeah, if you're a member, you can have access to one of those coaching programs at a discount. Okay.
How are you doing the 5-person memberships with one payment? How are you managing that from a tech standpoint?
So whoever creates the account, so it's a complete e-commerce setup. So they can literally click on this membership, and it'll take them through the sign-up process and take them to the payment process.
Yeah.
And I've already built out the post-purchase automation. The post-purchase automation sends them an email and asks for the 4 other people they want to add to their account.
And they do that on your site?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So it takes them to a page that I built where and this is key. I ask basically information about those 4 other people. I'm looking for titles because I am really going to personalize the memberships based on their title. So if someone goes, so let's say the ops person goes in and creates this account, pays the membership fee, which this tier right now is valued at $249 a month.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go in there and go say, yeah, I want Sally Smith, and she's VP of sales. I want Chad Johnson, and he's, VP of marketing, whatever. Mm-hmm. Sally Smith, right now, what I have built is a separate track for sales. So she's literally going to get her bi-weekly newsletter. This is a lot of work, but I really want to do this. They're 80% of the content they're going to get is going to be the same. The other 20% is going to be geared towards their discipline.
Got it.
So
as a standalone or like standalone email in the journey?
Yeah.
That will be more in line with their niche.
Yes.
Got it.
So the biweekly newsletter, everybody gets, that'll be the same.
Okay.
And then built into that is then Sally gets a
Yep.
sales track.
That was one. Yep.
Chad gets a marketing track. Yep.
Interesting.
So I'm requiring title, and this is where it could get a little bit interesting. I'm trying to automate this with MailChimp.
Okay.
The problem is, as you know, titles are weird.
Yep.
Like, for example, my title at work for the day job is Senior Director of Revenue Operations. So, like that actually means sales and marketing. So
Could you have the person who's signing up for the program designate which track to send them on?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the changes I'm going to make here. I was
Okay.
trying to, and I'm actually going to make it a drop down box.
Sure.
That way I can control. So it's going to be pretty generic. Like it'll be like finance and accounting.
Yep.
Operations.
General business functions. Yep.
Sales and marketing. And I'll probably put sales and marketing together because because the content can overlap so much there.
Sure.
And then one will probably be, managing director or, CEO or something like that. Like, and I'll just treat that as like visionary type track.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of the cleanup work I have to do because I do really want to try to personalize it as much as possible. The biggest thing all these books talk about, that was really aggressive. I just slapped my desk. I am telling you right now, Luke, the one thing that I am going to focus tons of my energy on is providing absolute value.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many membership programs I've even been a part of as a consumer, but then also as a business that have had a hard time conveying value prop. And I am going to take that to the nth degree. I am going to be obsessed, Luke, with the customer's value. So I'm intentionally building very personalized journeys, and this is going to be a lot of content, and I get that.
It is. Yep.
But I'll get to why this is important in a minute. So the first tier is this plus tier, and it's just that's widely what's in the next tier up is the pro membership level. Okay,
Does that include everything?
Yep, they get everything in plus, but then they also get 3 additional things. And again, some of these are going to move and shake. Personal leadership assessments. I actually built a leadership assessment tool. About a week and a half ago, I dug down deep over a weekend and basically created, and this is one thing I want to talk to you about because I see a true identity tie here. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk to you about a separate possible collaboration.
This is why Bob strings me along, because he knows that I'm going to be useful at some point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to use your tool royalty free. So I built a leadership assessment tool, and it basically just kind of like think of it as like a personal scorecard as a leader. And it's kind of like a questionnaire, like a self-assessment questionnaire. And then I built a very soft prompt. I got a lot of work to do with this one yet. Some of these are like half baked or 3/4 baked, or some are like not even in the oven yet. Like, but I'm working on them, and I'm kind of hopping. Yeah, I really should just buckle down and finish one, but I kind of hop back and forth. But I have this vision of this leadership assessment tool that basically tells a leader, hey, this is kind of where you are at right now. And here's a custom plan, again, personalized custom plan for how to get to here. Kind of thing, right? So that's included in that tier. Quarterly leadership masterclass. This is where I think there's an opportunity to actually like get the leadership team together to have a masterclass around a certain topic. Like, perhaps it's like scenario planning or strategic planning or, just like a single kind of topic. And then, customized leadership development plans. That kind of goes with the assessment. So I got some cleanup work to do.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So that's kind of this pro.
So before you jump off of the team, what was it? What was the last one you said?
It was It's the customized leadership development plans.
Leadership development plans. Okay, so when they get that,
Yep.
the vision as of now, I know you're still kind of working on cooking the recipe. I'm assuming you said individual, yes?
Mhm.
I'm assuming, however, you're going to be coaching them through how to work as a team with all these individuals,
Mhm. Yep.
right?
Yep. So actually,
That's a different dynamic than just individual analysis.
yep. And this I'm taking from a course I took many years ago at Jostens, and it was called Outcome Thinking. And
Hmm.
it's a model that an entrepreneur here in the Twin Cities actually developed. And I'm
Hmm.
not stealing her content or anything, but I'm taking the premise of what I learned from her. So what happened when I was at Jostens was the management, all the managers and above went through this outcomes thinking program. And what that program did was, first, it was a self evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
and it was focused on communication styles.
Mm.
So I'm kind of taking a spin off of this. But her program, and I forgot her name. I wish I remembered it because it's a great program. I'll think of it.
Just
It
put in the video description.
Yeah, it focused on your communication style, and then you got a readout of your team's individual communication styles. The idea of the program was to say, oh, when I talk to Katie, this is why me and Katie don't communicate well, because I'm this type of communication style and she's this type of communication style. So, in order for me to achieve my objectives, my goals, I need to alter the way I communicate so that Katie receives it better. Okay.
Yep.
So, I'm going to try to marry some of the best ideas are when you take two separate ideas and you put them together.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of taking this assessment tool that I'm trying to create. That's about half baked right now. And I'm trying to marry that a little bit with Patrick Leone's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Okay.
And saying, okay, well, here's why, here's how your teams need to communicate better.
Yep.
And 80% of this content is generic.
Yep.
It's the 20% that is where it gets personalized.
Yep.
Like, hey, Doug, here's your leadership style. And here's your seat on leadership team. And here's how you need to communicate what you do so that the broader leadership team, everything meshes.
Yep.
So I'm rereading Leone's book. I haven't started it yet, but I've read it a few times already. But I'm trying to marry some ideas together because a lot of things in that book are about how leadership teams communicate with each other.
Sure.
And trust each other and things like that. So yeah, so that's kind of, so it is two pronged, but it's very heavily focused on a self assessment as a leader. I also am a big fan of 360 reviews, where your team is involved in the process of telling you how your communication style is, what they like and what they don't like about it. So there may be a future in this, and this is again me spinning an idea that you had. I'm trying to see how I can make it work. You had talked about using a version of your questionnaire, sending it to like other people in your circle to fill out the questionnaire, and then you were going to tie all the data together and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's a 360 in the business world.
Yep.
I see an opportunity. It's like, hey, put in 5 emails of your direct reports.
Yep.
We're going to get this questionnaire on your leadership style, and that's going to be part of the assessment.
Yep.
And again, some of these things are just half baked right now, but that's okay. I'll figure them out as I go. The great thing about it is I can take things out of these tiers at any time. And I can plug them back in, so I can play around. If something I don't feel is ready yet, I can just pull it out, whatever, pop it back in. I'll move things around. So I'm not too worried about that. The final tier is the premium. Well, first of all, that second tier is valued at $749 a month.
Drop in the bucket for somebody who could use this.
Yeah, I mean, that's my hope. And again, I'm hoping I can automate some of this. I'm hoping most of it will be, 5% of me touching it. I mean,
Well,
that's kind of the goal, right? The last tier is the premium, which includes everything in pro. It also now this is one program I am about 95% done with, but they get automatic enrollment in the Leadership Academy program, and
automatic enrollment in what again?
so one of the remember I told you
What'd
I
you
have
call it?
Leadership Academy program.
Thank you. Wanted to
So
make sure I heard it correctly.
I have about 20 programs that I want to do at some point. Like, and out of the 20, so this was me just like over the course of a few days, like, yes, I could do a coaching program in this. Oh, I could do a coaching program in this. I could do a coaching program in this. Out of the 20-ish or 22, I can't remember how many on that list, there's 2 or 3 that I'm really excited about.
And one of them is building a school for leaders.
One of them is building a Leadership Academy program.
Yep.
Yes. And it's a year-long program that's broken up into quarters, and it's heavily focused on particular book or discipline and deep diving as cohorts on that topic.
Hmm.
And facilitated by me and all this kind of stuff. So that I'm right now, that is in that tier to be automatically enrolled into.
That is strictly learning.
Strictly learning, and it's not just at the leadership level. It will also go down to the next tier of management within the company, within reason.
I'm very interested to see how you're going to take that approach on that. Very interested.
Yeah, well, once I finish that last 5%, I would love to share with you the program details so you can see how I'm doing this.
I'm excited.
I think it's got some potential. Monthly one-on-one executive coaching is in this tier. So dedicated time to get
30 minutes a month.
Yep, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I think I had it at 45 minutes
45. Okay.
for the 5 leadership members. Just
Does it
to
have to be a single session, or can they break it up?
um
Ooh, big question.
yeah, big question. I don't know because I haven't fully thought about that one yet. I need to be strategic on
I'm poking holes.
no, that's good because I'm going through each one of these one by one as I'm working on them.
You have been busy. I'm just telling you right now. Holy crap, man. I mean, just
Well,
what you're telling us is surface level. That's not everything that went into it. So this
yeah,
is amazing.
these all each have their own separate Word documents. Literally, every program has its own separate Word document. And basically, just picture like 50 Matchbox cars on the carpet. And I'm basically just inching each one up like an inch, maybe one up like 2 inches, maybe one I move 6 inches. So I'm like just trying to get them all to the finish line. But it's just kind of like I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to work on this one today, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yep. I know how you work.
Yeah. 5 hours of priority support via video or email. So this is where now at this level, I'm starting to introduce some interaction with me. And for the price point, I have this one priced at $12.49 a month. It's still a lot less than you would pay a business coach.
I make that sound because I'm thinking of the dough rolling in from my boy Stanky.
Yeah, I mean, a year that's somewhere around 15 grand a year or something like that, which again is a lot less than you would pay a traction implementator.
Yep.
Who you wouldn't get coaching from. They're just a facilitator, really.
On an individual basis, right?
And you go hire a business consultant who charges, a couple $1,000s an hour.
Yeah.
This is still, but again, because I'm trying to be more hands-off, you're not paying for my time now, you're paying for my resources.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What's the middle phase again?
Pro.
So pro, what's the right way to say this? In pro, you're adding more people to your team, right? Or is it in the first one?
Each tier gives you 5 subscriptions.
Okay, so you get 5 subscriptions for all 3 tiers.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
As of now, yes.
okay, so I'm signing up for this upper echelon membership tier.
Yep.
I give you 5 people that are going to be part of this. Do each of them get an hour or just me?
Each.
Okay.
Yeah, this is where the
Not
pricing
an
may
hour,
change.
sorry, 45 minutes. Yep.
45 minutes. This is where the pricing may change. I think I'm low. Because I'm taking a lot of things into account here. I need to take into account, well, first of all, before I answer that question, let me tell you the last thing in the premium tier.
Okay, I thought you were done. Sorry.
No, the last item in the premium tier, as of right now, is a concept that I told you about a couple of years ago that it's been itching at me that I still think it's a possibility. Most leadership teams do quarterly and annual planning. If you're part of the EOS system, you do quarterly planning and you do a 2-day annual.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring in your implementator and they facilitate the meeting for you.
Yep.
But I can't tell you, well, you know, but everybody who's watching this, I can't tell you how many emails I get a month. Okay, I make it sound like it's hundreds. I get 3 or 4 emails a month from random people that find my website because they were searching for EOS questions. Okay. I just got one literally on Wednesday. It
Yep.
was from a guy who found me on Reddit
Mm-hmm.
on some EOS post. And he sent me an email and he said, hold on, because this is important. So just to put into context here. Okay, this is what he said. Stumbled across a comment on Reddit about EOS. I'm thinking about implementing it and would love to get your latest view. Thinking about self-implementation. Okay. I get notes like this all the time because they don't want to pay a traction facilitator or they don't want to pay a traction implementator because it costs a shit ton of money.
Right.
$30,000 to $50,000 a year to have a certified traction implementator.
When you actually can learn everything from the book.
You can. The key is you got to be self-disciplined enough. And I tell all these folks, I write every single one back. And I've had a call with a few of them.
Yep.
I've told them, you can self-implement. That's totally fine. But I'm telling you right now, you got to be disciplined.
Yep.
Because all it takes is 1 week of saying, let's just skip our L10 this week. We're busy. We're busy.
Yep.
In the book, you don't skip the L10.
Nope.
The L10 is a must, right? And I'm just using traction as an example. A lot of these methodologies or a lot of these frameworks have rules that you should follow, right? So It's being disciplined. So most companies that don't have self-discipline and can't self-implement, actually the self-implementation companies don't usually make it.
Right.
Because they lose the discipline.
Yep.
So the companies that can't afford it hire these implementators, and it costs $30,000 to $50,000 a year, literally.
Yep.
Okay. And you know how many times you meet with that implementator?
4 times. Well,
4.
maybe 6.
6 if you count focus days, the focus day, right? Okay.
Right.
And focus day is really only at the beginning. You don't do that every year. So
Exactly.
really 5 times, 3 quarterlies, and then a 2-day annual.
Yep.
So maybe 5 times, right?
Right.
Okay. And you're paying $7,000 to $10,000 per session.
Yep.
The final item in this tier is for these companies that I'm seeing more and more of that want to self-implement because they can't afford that. They're small businesses.
Yep.
I'm going to deliver that to them in a box. Okay.
I love how you said that.
Sorry.
I'm going to deliver that to them in a box.
Yeah, that was really dramatic. Okay. But here's the concept.
That's awesome.
I'm going to take the general framework of a quarterly plan session, not traction. I'm not going to mess with their IP. I wouldn't do that. Yeah. I'm creating my own, and I've been working on this for years, my own idea, my own framework. But I'm going to take all the key elements of when you do quarterly planning, I'm going to put it into a printable guide, printed, binded, put in a box, and shipped to their office. They're going to sit down for their quarterly. They're going to open the box. Yep, a workbook. They're going to open the box, and there's pre-printed workbooks that'll guide them through everything they need to do to run their quarterly planning. Right there. Same thing with annual. So, and then some, I have ideas of other things. Like I think they every year they could get a book with that. I'm a big fan of books, as you know. You can't
Yep.
see.
I
I'm a
am
big-
aware.
So they get a workbook, and then maybe they get a book of my pick of the book of the year that they should read, or just as an add-on or whatever.
Mhm. Yep.
And then who knows what else I'll put in that box? Maybe I'll put some surprise and delight things or whatever. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to bring a physical aspect to it.
Sure.
So this is where the pricing comes in.
Yep.
Some people might look at these and say, "Oh, holy crap, $12.49 a month. That's 15 grand a year." Well, in that price, I've had to build in my time of the 45-minute quarterly calls, the physical goods that I'm thinking about delivering, especially with the Leadership Academy, because that involves a book that needs to be not only purchased, but then also shipped. So I'm building all this kind of stuff, and that's why I think the pricing is low. I do have an Excel workbook that I've created where I've literally tried to price all this out to make sure that I'm still coming out ahead.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need to have margin to build this business.
Right.
But because I do want to have some of these more personal touches and these things that are not just digital but also physical,
Hmm.
I'm gonna just use someone's name because Greg Cleary, Traction. Well, not anymore. Was a Traction implementator. Now he runs his own framework called Summit, or I'm sorry, Pinnacle. And the one thing I always loved about visiting Greg at his office was he just was handing out books. Here, take this book. Wow, here's 3 books I think you should read. You just give them to me. They're free. It's like,
Hmm.
but it was like I walked away and I was like,
He was really good at that.
he was so good at like, oh, here's a fidget spinner. Like just weird stuff. But
I
it
think
was,
that left a big impression.
I mean, look,
You and I are talking about it.
7 years later, and I'm still talking about how every time I went to his office, I was walking out of there with 2 or 3 books that he would just.
Every meeting we had with him, he had something for us.
He
Yeah.
had boxes and boxes of books.
Yep.
And they weren't just traction books. They were all
Business
different kinds of
books.
books. Yep, business books. And we would be sitting there, we'd be having this session with him, and all of a sudden he'd be like, "I got a great book about that. That's a great book. I got a book. Before you leave, make sure to remember me. Give you that book."
Yep.
I want to carry on that kind of same idea, which is like, the physical, tangible touch point.
The takeaway.
Yeah, there was another book that I got. Oh, it's actually the Outcome Thinking book that I got as part of my coaching that I got when I was at Johnson's. There was a nice little note in there,
Mm-hmm.
like a nice little note from the author of the book, and that was just it's so little, but it means so much.
It's those little white glove moments.
Right. So it's like, okay, if I pick the book of the year is, whatever it's going to be that I think is like super duper important for all my clients to read,
Mhm.
I'll order 40 or 50 copies. I'm sent here and I'll write a note in each one.
Yep.
And then I'll ship them out when their quarterly comes up.
Yep.
And hopefully it's those little touches. Again, it's the value, it's the white glove, it's the concierge, I'm not just paying $12.49 for some guy's digital content. He's actually like handwriting notes in a book and he's telling me. And when I have these 45-minute calls
Mm-hmm.
and I pick up on something and I know something that like, oh, they need this, I'm going to send it to them, whether it's digital or physical. Like it's those kind of things because they're going to go back to their leadership team and say, oh, I had that call with Bob and then he sent me this thing. It's like, that's really handy. Like that's what I needed. That's what I needed or whatever. So that's what I'm trying to build. And I'm trying to build it in a way that I can still be hands off because I still have a job, but I still feel like I can automate some of this and I can make it on demand and I can make it valuable in my free time, continue adding value and hopefully grow this base of customers.
Yep.
And then as I start to phase into the next phase of my career, and I do get to a point where, okay, I can step away from a full-time job and I can do this full-time, then I can start adding in more of the in-person, maybe I can amp the number of hours of coaching up, like the one-on-one coaching, the personalized coaching. That's kind of the end goal. Let's talk about pricing membership tiers for a minute, because this is something I've spent a lot of time on.
Okay.
When I first priced out the Plus, Pro, and Premium tiers, you want to know what the starting prices were? $190, $199, $399, and $599. And now I'm at $249, $749, and $1249.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been everywhere in between.
I'll bet you have. You'll probably change it a couple more times.
I listened to a podcast the other day that absolutely blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about, and I can't remember who it was. I don't even remember which podcast it was because I've listened to so many podcasts. She was talking about pricing membership tiers, and if there wasn't a time when the clouds split and God's bright light shined down on me at just the right time, I was right in the middle of trying to price my membership tiers when I just happened to listen to this podcast. It's kind of like fate or whatever you want to call it. And she said something that absolutely just like, she said, oh, it's easy to worry about price, but there's a quick and easy formula that can tell you whether your pricing is too much or too little.
Huh.
Roll pricing out. Put your tiers at whatever you think makes sense.
Yep.
Roll it out. Then watch your conversion rates on those product pages, on those tier pages, on your paywall pages. If your conversion rate is 80% or more, your price is too low.
Yep.
If your conversion rate is 20% or less, your price is too high.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, okay. That totally makes sense. Like, yes. Like, so that's why I become less worried about what the exact numbers are.
Yeah.
Because I'll roll them out and I'll find out.
Right.
I'll find out, and then I can adjust and change as I go, which, again, this isn't rocket science. This isn't the first time anybody's ever thought about this. But I think for me, it just helps solidify a formula behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I can use instead of play the guessing game.
Right.
And because my site analytics are so good and I can see literally how many people go to a certain page or how many people bounce, I'll know real quick if, what's making sense and what's not. I do think the price I have in there right now, especially at the premium tier, are probably low. I'm going to refine the offerings in each tier one last time before I roll this out and just do a double check on whether or not I think the price is a good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Just go with it.
That's cool. I say, why not?
Yeah.
You don't know anything. You might as well just try it.
And if the other thing I'm going to try to convey, which, it's going to have to be done through copy and sales copy, is that, remember, you're getting 5 people are getting access to this. So it's not just one, you know what I'm saying? It's not just one person. Right now, I'm really trying to frame this in a way that's built for up to 5 people on a leadership team.
Yep.
So really, if you break down $750 by 5, it's like $125 per person. For the value I'm trying to give, that's cheap. I believe. So the point is that what I'm trying to say is like, I'm just bundling 5 into one. So somebody could look at that price and say, oh my God, I'm paying this guy $750 a month. Well, yeah, you are, but you're paying for 5, essentially 5
people. Right. 5 people are going to benefit from it. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm trying to go with this.
Is there a core stakeholder or core customer of the 5? I mean, there's an admin, right? Because they're the ones that signed up and paid, but do all 5 get all of the same stuff for that package level?
Yeah, I mean, the only point of differentiation is what business function they're in. But essentially, the way from the emails I get, I'm going off the emails I get. And remember, I have other things on my site that I capture information on, like people who are downloading my stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I have a lot of free resources on my site now that you can just download it. All it requires is an email address. whenever somebody downloads, like for example, my strategic initiatives template, oh, I stalk the hell out of them. Like I go and I look at the company, I try to find the name of the person, and
all our listeners are like, "Oh man, I better not sign up on his website."
right. Well, I don't go any further than that. I just want to find out who they are, mostly because I'm interested who's finding my site, and like I'm trying to figure out like what problem they're trying to solve. So I just had someone the other day download my strategic initiative calculator tool, and 7 times out of 10, it's usually someone in an ops position.
Mm.
Several have been finance, especially the strategic initiative scoring template, which makes sense because it's literally trying to decide what projects you're going to work on. And in the tool, I have like costs and financial implications and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised people are finding that are in finance.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I do. And 7 times out of 10, it's usually an ops person. So I probably envision them as being the ones who are like, I got to get this leader. Integrator. Like if it's EOS, it's the integrator who's like,
Sure.
shit, I got to get this leadership team in shape, or
Yep,
or we need coaching or whatever. Like they're probably the ones who are finding it.
Totally.
That's at least what I'm finding right now.
Okay. That's interesting. I love what is happening here, Bob.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now.
You want to know something? I think why I love it so much is because you've been talking about this stuff for
years,
at least 3 years, like consistently.
Yep.
With your love for all of the leadership aspect, the business strategy aspect, operations and how things work within business. Like you've been talking about this for a long time. Now, the intriguing thing to me is it's not until probably the last year and a half, maybe 2 tops, where you've been really trying to figure out how you can do a membership program with all of these loves that you have, right? And all of a sudden you pick up this magical little book.
Yeah.
And it lights your ass on fire, and it shows you this golden lit path that you need to walk, and you are literally running it.
Right.
Yeah. I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah, you know what's also interesting is like there's a lot of different business models out there. I've always been intrigued by the membership business model. That's actually made up over 15 years of my career working for companies that have a membership model. And, you know, this is another blue ocean thing. Blue ocean thing. Most business coaches don't operate on subscription models.
I know.
They operate on one-off contract models or pay per session models.
Correct.
I'm trying to build a monthly reoccurring revenue model.
Exactly.
That
we've talked about is a necessity.
Yeah. So I see a lot of opportunity here, especially if I can get the content right and I can deliver enough value in content, and guides and templates, tools and video modules and training courses that I can develop at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday night.
Yep.
Roll up and keep people coming to visit it. And if they keep paying $249 or $1249 or whatever every single month, I kind of flip the idea of what a business coach, what an engagement with a business coach looks like.
Yep. It would be on demand.
Yep. Be on demand.
You're using an on-demand membership model. I love it.
But also what makes business coaches successful, and the ones that I've seen or worked with, it is the personal connection.
Absolutely.
So this is why I'm calling it a hybrid model.
It has to be.
You're going to see me
10%. You can't be hands off. You can't be. You're a coach. Coaches can never be hands off.
Right. So at the right price tier, especially when this becomes my full-time gig, the pricing changes and my accessibility becomes more.
Yep.
And, you know, And there probably will be the membership thing is kind of like the just give me access to everything, give me access to these guides, these workbooks, these kits you're going to send me, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I down the road, what my financial model is telling me is that this membership model will eventually will only be 10% or 20% of my revenue. The other 80 will be very in-depth, intensive, hands-on physical coaching. And that's where, I'll be charging maybe more premium prices for.
I would assume.
The other program I'm super interested in, I just want to share this with you because I'm really, really hyped about this one. I'm setting up an emerging leaders program.
Emerging leaders.
Yep. This is going to
expand on what the term means.
Yep. So this is not part of the membership tiers or the membership model. This will be a one-off offering, offered, of course, at a discount by anybody who is a member. This is where a business, small, mid-sized business, will be able to identify who their future leaders are in their business.
Okay.
So who are their rising stars? Who are their emerging?
My assumption, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Who are their emerging leaders that they see that aren't ready yet? Maybe they're leading a team.
These are some star players that have the potential.
Yep. And I'm going to build out basically a program, a coaching program that works with them specifically.
Love it.
Yep. And I'm going to start with probably by discipline. Oh shit, I don't have it here. I think it's upstairs. I actually laid out 12 modules that I think are important for an emerging leader, like interpersonal communication, time management, working with peers, other leadership peers, working with your staff, your team, management techniques. I laid out basically like 12 core things that I think every leader, and I'm basically going to guide. Every month there'll be a different focus.
Yep.
And it's like a 2-year program. I envision it being like a 2-year program. And every month, or every 2 months, I think every 2 months, 12 topics every 2 months, you dive deep into that discipline.
Okay.
And go through immersive, intensive training on getting better at that skill. So then at the end of the 2-year program, they're essentially, have the ability to become, elevate their leadership within that company.
Yep.
I'm super excited about that one because I think it's got a ton of potential. There are programs out there now that have things like this. Like the big dog that I found was Harvard has they call it like a rising star, a young leaders program or whatever. But again, it's Harvard. I mean, that's overkill. If you ask me, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. And I looked at their pricing. Yeah, I looked at their pricing. I'm like, well, yeah, it's Harvard. Like, it's like, yeah. And there are other programs. I found other ones too. But, again, just because someone made a chair doesn't mean no one else can ever make a chair again. Like, it's like, how am I going to make my chair better? How am I going to make, And again, Harvard's
probably going to make your chair better for your audience.
Right. And Harvard and Boston Consulting Group and all them. Yeah. And they're servicing Fortune 500 companies.
Right.
But there are small businesses and mid-sized businesses that are having this problem. We need good managers. We need good leaders inside of our company. And we think we've got someone who had that potential, but they need to be trained. They're young.
Yep.
They're in their late 20s. They, we want
them to be trained. They need to be groomed.
Yeah. Yep. And they need, and here's the thing that I firmly believe. Most companies can't do that themselves.
I don't know. It's a natural skill set that needs to be pulled out of an individual.
Most individuals in companies think that that's what like HR does. They don't.
No.
HR teams are not. Some companies, one specifically that I worked for, did have a like program for like
Not
training.
commonplace though.
It's not. It's not, and that's a Fortune 1000 company. So again, they had the resource to do that.
Right.
But like, I can't tell you how many small businesses I've worked for where, let's talk about professional development.
Well, I mean, let's talk about how many SMBs, mid-level organizations have somebody on staff, or even that they would contract out to do that kind of thing for them. Right now, there aren't a lot.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know,
Yep.
so those that actually prioritize it,
Right.
probably don't bring it in house. They probably look to do external sources to help them with it.
Yep. So
It's
here's
just
an emerging
weird.
leader program that's available for X amount of dollars, and I'll take care of all of the training and all that kind of stuff. And I'll have like feedback loop process for like
Mm-hmm.
having meetings with their manager to talk about the progress that's being made and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I just see a ton of potential there. So
Sure.
that's one of those 20 programs I was telling you about.
Yeah.
That has kind of risen to the top as I think being something that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So
You have you're never short of ideas, dude. You have a lot of great ideas. I'm sure that list of 20 is probably really amazing.
yeah,
I'm assuming it's kind of like a 20-year roadmap, though, right? Because I mean, you're only going to be able to roll out one or two, every once in a while.
Right.
So,
I mean, even here's another concept that I've heard on podcasts and everything. It's like you can't wait till everything's fully baked.
right.
That's why I'm really pressing myself to get this launched as soon as possible. I will, at this point in time, if I were to open it up today, I would be building the plane while it's flying.
Yeah.
Which is fine. They say that's actually the way you should do it. Because otherwise you're trying to perfect it forever and you're never going to launch it.
Right.
So, but I need to have the bare bones minimum, because what I'm telling myself mentally is, and let's be realistic. Day one when I launch this, I'm not going to have like people knocking at the door buying right away. That's not going to happen, right? So that's okay, good. But at least I can start setting the brand awareness play.
Yep.
Right. I can start building the idea that this is what I do.
Absolutely.
And it'll start ranking on Google and all that kind of stuff, right? But what I'm trying to be ready for is the scenario of I'm telling myself to pretend if someone signed up for the plus or the pro or the premium, how would I service them right away if they bought today?
Right.
How would I make sure that that's, and right now, some of it would be manual.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. As long as you have a way to do it.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. Maybe not all the automations
you're still going to deliver on the promise, right? That's always the key.
Yep. Deliver the value that's promised. And yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Bro, you're a busy man. I just have one quick question because I know we have a quick stop.
Yeah.
What are your next steps?
Well, I'm starting with the plus tier first and making sure that that's all wrapped up. So I'm getting content ready for that.
When you say starting with, you mean you're going to roll out the plus first?
They're all going to roll out at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm anticipating if I did get a bite on the line, a fish on the line, it's probably going to be at the lower tier.
What if it isn't?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I got to be ready to service any person. But everybody
somebody listening to this video right now.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. Please buy the premium. No, but everybody in Plus, Pro, and Premium gets the same stuff that's in Plus. So that stuff has to be ready.
That's the foundation.
Yep, that's the foundation. So having that stuff services all the tiers anyways. So just making sure that's in a good spot. So I've got some content work to do that I'm still working on. I got to jiggle around some of the things in each tier again. Some things are going to leave. Some things might come in. Some things might move tiers. I got to finalize that. everything's tested. I could take a payment today. So I'm good. I can take credit card today. I can take PayPal today. I can take Stripe today. I can take anything.
You can take people's money. All right, good.
People's money, that's all tested. I need to clean up some of the automated account setup stuff.
Hmm.
That is
Is that all through Squarespace?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, it is.
However,
Well, it's all set up so it's Squarespace because they can log in to get the resources and all the templates and stuff and all the videos
yep,
in Squarespace. So they have to have a Squarespace account.
yep.
But I built the integration with MailChimp because MailChimp is the one that's going to do all of the email sending.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get the sync of who someone is on the Squarespace side to get them in the right journey on the MailChimp side.
Got it.
So that there's some work that needs to be done there, especially since as we were talking about how people are going to self-identify their function, their business
Yep.
function. That's not built. That's not built. So
You just have to make sure the data is communicating back and forth. Yep.
my original target date to launch this was May 15th. That passed. I'm not ready yet. Yep, yesterday. That was the intent. But I also knew kind of around the first week of May that was going to be a stretch. Now the target date is June 1st for a soft launch. And what I mean by a soft launch is I'm not going to hit the entire database. So Coach Builder step 4 is to build your marketing list.
Okay.
I had been working on that weeks ago, so I have like targeted people in LinkedIn that I'm going to hit with this, but they're not going to get it right away. It's going to be a soft.
Is Celebrity going to get it right away?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to have your account set up for free. Yeah, how much you? I need feedback. I need your feedback on everything. But I will roll it out slowly. I'll probably hit my email list for sure because that's not that big. That's only a little over 100 people. They can probably see it right away, and then I'll start dripping it out slowly over time.
I love it.
Yep.
All right. So the last comment I'll make.
Yeah.
I did some quick math. So I like how you use the 750 as like the average price of all three of them, right? On a monthly basis. So as we've talked about, we want to try to hit our first $1 million, relatively soon, right? So I'm sure you've done this math. You only need 112 customers every month, and you can do that in a year.
Yeah, I'm using the blended rate as the target, so the 750.
Yep.
But I do have a workbook that breaks down how many at each level. And then I've got a what if scenario built in there that says, well, what if 80% are at the plus, 10% are at the pro, and 5% at, So yeah, I have worked the math, and yeah, it's very doable. Actually, the number I was using first was how most entrepreneurs that you listen to on podcasts say, try to get to that first 100,000 in a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot less. Like I would only need, was it 9 at the platinum or at the premium?
10 people.
Yeah, 10 at the premium level to get to 100,000 in a year. And I need double that, so I need like 20 at the pro level. That's not much. That's not many. That's not many to actually have a yearly reoccurring revenue of $100,000.
Yep. And what are your costs, Bob?
Right now, time.
Right?
Time is the only cost right now.
But from an expenditure standpoint, I mean, you're talking about a website, maybe a couple of digital platforms to function.
Yeah, MailChimp.
Automate, right?
Yep.
But we're not talking a lot of cost.
No, Squarespace and MailChimp are my only paid services that I use in my domain name, which is only $12 a year.
I mean, your profit margin's huge.
Yeah, at the pro level and the premium level, I do start to introduce some physical deliverables.
Oh,
Which
physical. Yeah.
Yeah, which I've done some soft math on of like 5 books at an average price of $20 per book plus shipping of $5. That's
But you're
that's
not doing a book a month.
no, right. At most, maybe a book a quarter. And if you
Right.
think about it, that's maybe $150, maybe $150 right there for a one leadership team
Right.
at a quarterly margin of almost $4,000.
Right.
So $4,000 minus
Still
150.
pretty hefty profit margin.
Yeah, the margins are decent.
Yeah. Yeah, this is nice, dude.
See if I
I
get a
can
bite.
see you smiling.
Yeah, well, it'll be I'm a couple of these emails that I've gotten over the last year or so from these people who find me on like Reddit and stuff like that.
Yep.
They're gonna get it. They're gonna get it right away. Because I totally see some of these self-implementators being like, wait a second, you're gonna provide me a workbook that's gonna walk me through this?
Right.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So they're on my target list.
I mean, if you're looking to self-implement anyway, yeah.
Exactly. Here, I'm going to give you everything you need to do it.
Right.
It's not going to be traction, but I'm going to give you tools that'll follow a similar concept.
Right.
Yep. That's the idea.
Crazy. I'm excited for you, dude.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll have more.
You've been a busy man. I can't believe you built all this in 5 weeks. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I've been really putting the time in.
Well,
every night.
It's about time. It's only taking you years to get to this point, you slowpoke.
Yeah, about 8 to 11 every night. And then on the weekends, a good 5 hours every night on the weekends. So, yeah.
Man, going hard and grinding.
Yep, it's all good.
All right, well, let's sign off. We got to get off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe to the video. Follow us. Go visit Luke's website, trueidentity.com, and check out his new blog posts.
I got several new blog posts, and Bob Stanky is soon to be launching some very cool stuff.
Yeah, I did put up a very important blog post this week. 3 important membership metrics every business should be following or using.
Oh, membership metrics. Nice.
Yeah, I'm actually really proud of that post. It took me some time to put it together, but it's actually got like legit formulas in it that you can plug your membership numbers into.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of that one. So hopefully people can go check that out. And that's it. We're done.
It has been a pleasure, Mr. Stanky. Thank you for walking us through all of the brilliant stuff you're working on. And there's going to be some cool things that we get to talk about later.
Yeah, that's the thing. This will be a learning thing that we'll be able to pass the learnings along.
There you go.
Big time. All right, cool. I think we're done.
Till next time, brother.
Yeah, take it easy. Peace out.
Peace out.